this is an example of a door with Waterson hinge. As you can see, it slowly closes in a very light latch. The three things that we've come across so far as the problem that's existing of the door, you want to check the gap. Number one important is this gap. So for this one, it's pretty good all the way up. This gets a little tight, but you may have a door that's already hitting. If that's the case, you have to fix this. And that may be a problem that you fix as you install the hinges. Sometimes you have to shim the hinge, sometimes you have to figure out what's the best way to get this door back in alignment. So that's the first problem. The second problem that you have is the latch. As you adjust the door, for instance, let's just say 20 degrees to close, sometimes you get the right pressure, but you don't get the last click to latch the door. So if that's the case, you may have to either grind the latch to figure out where exactly your striker is hitting the latch. Our old latch, the striker was barely missing it, so we had to grind it. In this case, we had a new latch, so we replaced it and it worked perfect. If you're not going to replace the latch, the other option is just grind it to where it fits perfect. The very last problem we had with our doors, these doors come with bottom weather strip or like a sweep. On the back side of the door, it has a trigger. So when the trigger hits the frame, it drops a sweep to the floor, as you can see right here. And what that does is hold the temperature from the inside of the hotel room compared to the temperature outside of the hallway. So that is one problem that we've come across, because after we adjust the hinges with the pressure, the last problem we have to do is the sweep or the weather strip at the bottom. So those are the three problems that we've come across. The number one thing is to make sure when you do install it, don't worry so much about 90 degrees to close, because that's probably the easiest adjustment. Your hardest adjustment is to make sure that soft close, because you don't want to hear it loud from the inside of the room and you don't want to hear it loud on the outside of the room. So currently what we have the pressure on is 5, 5, and 5. Now every door is a little bit different based on how you've installed it. You may realize if it has a little bit of bind and you cannot fix it, you may have to adjust the pressure just a little bit to help close that. Our last door was 5, 4, 4, but again, you may realize everyone is slightly different. You don't want to go all the way to 7, that way you have that little bit of room if you have to adjust it. The top is the adjustment for the spring that has the adjustment from 0 to 7. Again, this situation we use 5. But the bottom Allen set screw is actually your brake. So the tighter you make it, the more brake you're adding to the hinge. The looser you make it, the more neutral you're making the hinge. So I would focus on 90 degrees to 20 degrees, which then you would adjust these two because they work together. So that's SA1, these are just SA. Would you mess with the A1 hinge, which is the top? This one specifically closes from just about this point to close. From there, you would obviously just adjust these two. So for instance, after you set it to a 5, it's gonna swing because you've just springed it to a very strong load. So to fix that, you then need to come to the bottom screw and add a little bit of brake to it so you can help the pressure slow down a little bit. So that way when it goes to the closed position, it doesn't slam.